Hey guys, I just wanted to take the time out to just share. Hopefully, it will be very quick, but share my testimony with you of how good God has been. And last year, I started a job shortly after I completed my summer classes in my field. Many of you know I graduated last year with my degree in counseling, my master's in professional counseling. So I thought after I had all these ideologies in my mind, like once I'm done with school, things are going to be better for me financially and things are just going to pick up. I'm going to take my exam and, things are just going to be great. But God had other plans. So I took this job that I thought felt led to take and felt the presence of God when I got to the company. And sure enough, they gave me two positions. One for, while I had my master's, and the second that I would get, which was to be a therapist once I got my license. Sounds good, right? Well, come to find out, this company was struggling financially. This led to them not paying me on time, which trickled down to me struggling so much financially. I remember one day using my credit card just to get to work because I didn't have money to get gas. So things were so horrible. It was a really rough time. I was getting eviction notices from my apartment complex. My phone was cut off for the first time ever in my life, in my almost 20 years of being, with Sprint. So just a lot of things that was happening that I was not used to. And I remember one of my fears when I moved here on my own was to be homeless. And it was almost like God was challenging that fear. And, you know, one of the things that He revealed to me later is that sometimes He would allow us to go or to get into the position of the things that we feared the most just to prove to us and just to reveal to us, like, that fear is powerless. Like, don't give it any power. It has no power or authority over you. And, with me having getting those eviction letters not once, not twice, but three times, it really helped strengthen me because He came through every time. And I and during that time also my church began a series called God's at War, and after that um, they studied the book of Ecclesiastes. God's at War showed me that I had an issue with um, the God of money. I realized around that time, like, if my bank account was low, I was extremely anxious. But if it had the money that I need to get my bills paid, I was at peace. And that was off. And Ecclesiastes taught me that you can have your own plans and do your own things, but if you're not walking in purpose and if you're not living according to the purpose and the will of God, then you're living a life filled with vanity. And so I prayed about God and I asked God over and over again to release me. And I told Him in December, like, I need to know if you want me to stay here or can I leave. And I said, I need to know by January 4th. Well, January 4th comes around. We're having a staff meeting. Staff meeting is going great. Everybody's being transparent and vulnerable about their experience there. I felt like, I wasn't left out, or, like, people were sharing my same sentiments and views. So, anyway, I thought that was God giving me the thumbs up, like, okay, you could stay, and I was willing to stay as long as He was with me because I needed some strength, y'all. But anyway, I took a young lady out and I came back. And when I came back, the mom of the owner, who was the administrative assistant, pulls me into the office and tells me, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but this is going to be your last day. I was happy. I gave her everything. I was so calm about it because I knew it was God that had released me. And so, um, I had been out of work for 3 months. And within that 3 months, God did so much for me. I'm talking about I have no income other than my unemployment, which was $110 a week. I have an apartment. I have car. I have car note. I have credit card bills. So $110 a week, y'all. But God is so faithful. Every single week, I was getting at least 3 checks from 3 different people who I didn't even expect to get money from. People from my church were such a blessing, and my church in and of itself was a blessing. It was almost like God was proving to me, like, I'm going to show you that I am your source. Like, it's not your 9 to 5. Like, I am your provider. Yes, I will use your job as a means to give you, the money that you need, but ultimately, I am your source. And it was almost like I was in a situation where I just had to be still and just watch God move. And I didn't always have like an excess amount of money, but He was giving me exactly what I needed to pay my bills. And I remember one time I was reading Matthew chapter 6, and it was almost like I was saying to me, if I choose to feed you like the birds, like, what is that to you? Like, I'm telling you, I'm going to provide all your needs. And He did. And in that time, the Lord was able to do so much in me emotionally, spiritually, was able to deal with a part of my heart that I didn't realize that I had. I knew that there was a blockage, but I didn't realize what it was. And you know, He was able to share with me, like, I had an offense against Him because there was something in my past that I felt like, He had told me that He was going to do and He didn't do, and it messed with me trusting Him. And He had to repair that, and He did. And in this season, He did. And people were just blessing me. Went to my church, and in January, I think, and they offered to help me for February's rent. And then I went back to them. Didn't want to, but the Lord was like, go to them and see me and not them. And they called me a couple of days later, like the pastor wanted to meet with me, and I knew what was up. They want to know, like, what's going on, like, you home all this time, like, what's going on. And when I got in there, I really didn't have any answers for them because I was just in an experience. Like, I literally, I was applying for 5 jobs every week, sometimes more, and nobody was calling me back. Nobody. Okay, so I knew that this was God just doing His thing, and I really didn't have an answer for Him. And after I shared with them, the experiences and the lessons that God was sharing with me, and I told them about my hesitancy of coming back to them and asking for help, the pastor was like, I'm going into that board meeting and I'm gonna fight with you. Well, y'all, let me tell you what God did. My church, took care of my rent for March and April. Not only did they take care of my rent, but they took care of my car note. They took care of my car insurance, my phone bill, and my electric bill. And that was such a huge relief. I remember a couple of days later picking up the check for 2 months. So I had 2 months of rent covered. Okay, 2 months of car insurance covered, 2 months of car notes covered, 2 months of electric bill covered, 2 months of phone bill covered. Didn't have to stress about it, and God was just like proving Himself to me. And it was just so exciting to watch and to see. And on His time, there was a job that my supervisor, who was actually at that old job, which I believe now is the purpose for why God wanted me to take that position at first. I met a supervisor there, and she left 2 months later to take on a position at a new company. Well, she was allowing me to do her hair as a means for me to just, get some money. I would crochet her hair from time to time, and she would give me a little something because she knew I needed the help. And when I she told me about a position that was coming up open at her job, and I sent her my resume. That was in January, and I was waiting, and I was thinking like maybe it didn't work out because I didn't hear from them in February, but I finally heard from them in March. And I applied for the position, and she told me that I got the position, praise the Lord, making a salary based job, and I'm making more money than I've ever made, ever. And she told me that I was the only applicant or person that was chosen out of 160 applicants. Okay, so if that's not God, I do not know. But during this time of the season that God had me sat down, I realized that it was an opportunity for me to just get closer to him, like use that time wisely to just get to know him. He dealt with so much that was going on in my heart that I didn't even know about. I was able to see him provide for me. I was working out, which was something that I had prayed to him about, and he answered that prayer. He gave me a group of women that I could work out with. Shout out to God in Me Fitness, the owner of that fitness club. She just blessed me with what I needed to work out with, um, just everything. God was covering everything. I did not have to worry about anything, like everything was covered. And it just gave me an opportunity to just be still and use the time to spend with God, and use the time to reacquaint myself with the Lord. And the Lord allowed me to, he had put a ministry idea in my heart, and during that time I was able to start that ministry, which is for single women who are frustrated with this single season of singleness. It's called a rediscovery, because during that time I was rediscovering God's love for me. And I think, for single women, sometimes we focus so much on the husband portion of things that we forget God, and God will always want to be our first love. But, and God showed me, like, during this period, like, and I learned, like, what true worship is. Like, if I had lost my apartment, God was still worthy to be praised, and God was willing to pursue me to the point where He would have allowed me to lose my apartment if that's what it took for Him to get my attention and for Him to show me how much He was serious about me. Okay, He was willing to pursue a sister to God knows what. I don't know. If I hadn't got the revelation that He was trying to give me, like, I don't know, probably would have been on the street. But I'm grateful I got it, so I'm still here in my beautiful apartment. And He is so awesome. So if anybody's going through a financial hardship or season, just trust God. God is our source, not money. Money's probably going to be losing its value soon. So it's so important to learn how to rely on God. And sometimes we don't understand what God is doing, but trust and believe that there's purpose in everything that He does. And if you stay close to Him, He'll give you revelation beyond your wildest dream as to, why you're going through it. And He'll show you and reveal certain things. So if you are having a hard time finding a job, or if you're going through financial struggles, just be still and know that He is God. Know that He is working it out for you. I realized that He was positioning me for promotion, because a part of my church's program is to counsel you back to financial health. And so they signed me up for Dave Ramsey's financial peace class. And get this, I have had that financial peace class, the resources to do it on my own. My friend gave it to me on my 31st birthday. So I've had it for almost 4 years and I've never touched it, never opened it until this season. So I'm taking the